All right, today's new bike day. We got here a Rocky Mountain Growler 40. Picked it up yesterday. Beautiful bike. We're gonna review it, do our first ride impressions, and we'll see how she rides. All right, bud. Woo! Hardtail party, bro. So it's chilly, foggy, and a little drizzly out here at so-called Demo Forest. Nice and loamy dirt, beautiful riding conditions. So I'm gonna go over some of the specs of this bike because I feel like this bike's got everything dialed in. So whoever spec'd this at Rocky Mountain did a really good job. Starting with a cockpit, came standard with a 800 mil bar, 35 mil stem. It's the 31.8 one, the smaller one, which really I don't miss the big 35 mil clamp stem on this bike. I think this is pretty adequate. What else? Came with 2.6 WTB tires, nice and burly, pretty robust. I got this bike from Bicycles Brew Stop over in Nevada. They're a really cool bike shop. I like the fact that it came with a 150 mil dropper post already, stock, and I gotta say the dropper works really well. No issues here so far. So all the cables are internally routed. They actually did a really good job routing the cables inside the frame. So the bike also comes with a threaded bottom bracket and 170 cranks. So really, I feel like the bike's pretty dialed already. I really can't think of anything else to upgrade at this point. So brakes are Deore. It's not fully bedded in yet, so I'm just gonna kind of take it slow and easy. But wow, it feels really good. The suspension on this, even though it's just a Suntour fork, it works really well, I gotta say. So last week I tested the Polygon Strata. It's also hardtail, more XC oriented, and I really didn't like that bike as much. Had a very conservative geometry, and the fork on it really did not work very well. This bike is like night and day. This bike, the geometry on this feels almost like my Yeti SB150. It's got a really progressive geometry, and it feels very stable, very planted. Not the best climber, but who cares really? I'm not racing. So let's talk a little bit about geometry. This bike's actually slacker than my Yeti SB150. My SB150 has a 64.5 head tube angle. This one's running 64, so it's half a degree slacker. It's about 450, I believe, on the reach, which is still pretty aggressive, I would say. My Yeti, by comparison, is about, I think it's 460, so the Yeti's a little longer. C-tube on here is 75 degrees, so it's a little bit slacker than the Yeti, but of course this is also hardtail. Demo Forest, one of my favorite trails out here in Santa Cruz, Los Gatos. I'm thoroughly impressed with this Suntour Radon 34 fork. Oh yeah, man, that feels pretty good. Oh yeah. Wow. Wow, this bike feels pretty composed. Even on the chunks. Wow. Wow. I gotta say, I'm really loving the 2.6 tires. My usual go-to is 2.5 in the front and 2.3 in the back. This bike's got 2.6 front and back, and I'm loving it. It feels really good. I can really feel the grip. Takes away the edge off. Oh yeah. Yeah, so far I'm really loving this bike. Wow. So for $1,700, I feel like it's pretty dialed. There's nothing else really to upgrade at this point. I feel just as confident doing the downhill here as in my Yeti. It feels really good. I like it. I think I'm gonna keep this one. This one's definitely gonna be a keeper. So we all hear that cliche, confidence inspiring, and a very well composed bike, and feel like it's a cliche for a reason, and this is one of those reasons. Oh yeah. I'm a very average rider. I ride because I enjoy it. Feels really good. I'm feeling it. Feeling pretty awesome. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that part right there is pretty chunky. And this bike is just taking it like a champ, baby. Taking it like a champ. Yeah.
Go for it, Michael.
All right, thanks. I don't know where the line is. Shit, bro. Woo! Okay, so just to share my final thoughts on the Rocky Mountain Growler 40. I just finished riding through so-called Demo Forest, and this was my first ride, and I gotta tell you, this bike is just phenomenal. So if you're looking for a trail bike or an enduro bike or just an all-around great hardtail, I mean, this is it. Just buy this bike and be done with it. There's nothing else on this bike that really needs upgrading or replacing. Everything is solid. The geo is dialed. It's spot on. The components are solid. Brakes are great. Drivetrain's awesome. I mean, it's 1x12 Deore, reliable. Dropper post feels just like my Fox Transfer. If anything, I'm not a big fan of this dropper post remote. This one just feels a little cheap, but you know, who cares? I'll use it until I break it and maybe replace it with a P&W loam lever or something. Everything else, the components are you know, solid. They're not top shelf components, but they're great for what they're intended, you know, for their intended use. They're just a great all around solid components. And bike itself looks great. Absolutely confidence inspiring. I know that's a cliche term these days, but you know, on the descents, it felt just like my Yeti SB150 back there. You know, other than, you know, there's no rear suspension, but the geometry, when I was riding this at Santa Cruz, I mean, it felt like I was riding my SB150. And you know, I guess this bike is not for those who like smaller bikes, because this is a pretty long bike, pretty big bike. And if you're looking more for a cross-country rig, if you like to just ride long miles and do a lot of climbs, a lot of fire road climbs, then there's definitely better options out there. Case in point is the Polygon Strada that I reviewed last week. The video is available on my channel as well. Feel free to watch it. That bike climbed really well, and it's a really good cross-country rig. But again, if you're just looking for a great all-around bike and you have limited budget, I mean, I can't really think of any other bike out there that can beat it at this price point. I mean, it's just phenomenal. At $1,700, you get solid components, an amazing frame, great wheel set, tire combos that are just solid. I'm really loving that 2.6 front and back. Felt great. It's an amazing bike. So there it is, the Rocky Mountain Growler. Hope you guys like this video, this review, and feel free to post some questions down in the comments. And happy riding, and I'll see you guys out in the trails. You. Yeah. Yeah, boy. Fucking railing it. Woo-wee. Railing this shit.